Good afternoon and welcome all. Great to have you here today. My name is Mark de Groot. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing within ISOC 24. I will be your host for today's session. To begin with, we would like to thank you all for attending this session focused on prioritizing cyber threats and how to make threat intelligence more relevant for you. I would also like to welcome our speakers for today, Valk Zwendike from ThreatQuotient and Vicente Martin from Blueliv. Welcome, guys. They will further introduce themselves further along the presentations. Before we start off, a couple of household announcements for this session. The session is recorded and will be made available on our website within 1 week from now. In case you have any questions during the Q&A part of this session or during the sessions of the speakers, please use the chat window to ask them. So let us briefly walk through the agenda for this session. We will start with a short welcome and introduction, then followed by a Blueliv presentation, the ThreatQuotient presentation. After that, the use case and live demonstration will take place, which is interactive, followed by questions and answers as already mentioned, and then we'll have a short prize draw as well.
Okay, so first of all, thanks a lot, Mark and ISOC 24 for giving us the opportunity of presenting our solution here in that webinar. My name is Vicente Martin. I'm the pre-sales manager at Blueliv. And today what I'm going to show you is one of our solutions, which is the feed. But first of all, I'm going to introduce our company. We are a Spanish company. And nowadays, we are one of the leaders inside the cyber threat intelligence arena. We are continually searching for data in the open, deep, and dark web, and trying to transform this data into targeted intelligence. That's one of our main goals. So we retrieve that intelligence in different formats. One could be our modular solution, which is not the objective from today, but in the other hand, we have the feed. The feed is one of our products that will provide you with millions of IOCs for you to integrate this in tools like the one that we have today, which is ThreatQ. So how we gather the information, how we take the information, or what are our sources, what sources are we using? So we used to group the sources in 4 different groups. Private sources, that means that we are taking the information from these sources, it's unidirectional. The second source are the partnerships that we have with any other vendors, for example, anti-malware vendors, for exchanging malware samples for us to analyze this. Open sources, apart from the typical OSINT sources, we have our own Blueliv community where we share information with analysts all around the world that give us the ability to expand our tentacles all around the world to have information globally. And finally, which is the most important source, is our own proprietary sources. Obviously, if we are using the same information that the bad guys are using, we are going to do the same. So in that case, what we do is we are using our own technology, that like our own honeypots, our own fake mailing boxes. We have our own sandbox to analyze the different malware samples that we take from our partnerships with, for example, the anti-malware vendors. And we have our own labs team, which is doing research activities, hunting activities, and so on. So based on the sources, what we take is data at different formats that needs to be processed and transformed in order to show or to give intelligence to our customers. For example, when we are talking about the information that we take from the malware sandbox, we need to contextualize this in order to know what kind of malware we are talking about, which is the behavior, and so on. So, which is the process that we follow to deliver the information or the intelligence to our customers? So what we do is, first of all, gather the information based on the sources I have commented. After this, what we do is process that information, because what we have is tons of unstructured information without any context, without enrichment, and without any kind of categorization. So what we do is we take this information, we automatically follow several processes based on big data algorithms, NLP programming, machine learning, and then we deliver this information to our customers in different formats. The one that we are going to talk about is the MRTI feed, the machine readable threat intelligence, that it is based on IOCs. So how we can, but why we deliver this information? This information, the feed in that case, is delivered for the customer to integrate this with any other security tools. In that case, today, we are talking about a TIP, threat intelligence platform, that is, it is the center or the orchestrator of different feeds. One of them is Blueliv. So we can integrate this feed not only with threat intelligence platforms, but with any other CM tools, firewalls, IPS, proxies, and so on. All the security tools that you are using inside your network, and it is this integration, it is done for generating rules, generating playbooks, process, and so on. So the intelligence feeds, or the finally the intelligence feeds, is done for providing you with millions of IOCs, for you to configure those IOCs inside your security tools, and for you to be prepared about certain actions. So an example about this is, if you want to know if a specific domain is malicious or not, we will provide this information inside our feed. So you can automatize the actions that you want to take against this specific threat. So the intelligence feed needs to be integrated, okay? That is one of the most important things that needs to be integrated on an easy way. So for this, we provide two different ways of integration. The first one is using the standard sticks taxi in the version 1.1, excuse me. So it could be integrated with any other security tool that supports sticks taxi 1.1. And we have another option, which is JSON, using the JSON format that we have and using our SDK. It could be integrated with the any other security tool. In that case, the integration done today, it is based on one of these two formats. So which are the key benefits we have with this solution? The first one is that we can detect millions of threats based on IOCs, based on if they are connecting with a specific IP, if they are using a specific domain, like command and control, or probably we know the hash of a specific file. We can prevent next attacks based on the configuration that could be done using this information. We can augment your CM investment. In that case, we are talking here in the slide about CM, but you can augment the investment of any other security tool that you have and could be feed. Obviously, a rapid dispersion of the threat intelligence because it is automated. Once you have this integrated, we will send all the IOCs through the feed, and the integration is quite easy. But globally, it's a perfect solution. It's the perfect source for a solution like ThreatIQ, where you can consolidate, or you could consolidate, all the threat intelligence information in one single point, and you can perform different actions using this tool. So that's all for my part, Mark. Probably now we will see the most interesting part, which is the integration with ThreatQ.
Thank you for that, Vincenzo. I've made Falk the presenter, so we should be able to take a look at his screen. And I'm actually very curious how the collaboration between the two solutions works. So Falk, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Vicente. for giving such a great introduction into threat intelligence sources, especially yours, right? Yeah, as Mark mentioned before, I start with an introduction to myself. So my name is Vaak, and I work as a threat intel engineer for ThreatQuotient in Central Europe. And I do have the pleasure today to give you an overview into the workings of a threat intelligence platform, especially if it comes to prioritizing cyber threats. So if you would ask me how I would describe what ThreatQ is all about, I would possibly answer that approach ThreatQ has taken, which with its platform, is a very threat-centric approach to deal with security operations. This approach allows security teams to prioritize based on threat and risk, like you heard, collaborate across teams, automate actions and workflows, and integrate point products into a single security infrastructure. With this, we are able to address use cases like threat hunting, like threat intel management, incident response, to mention a few. But being today together with our colleagues from Blueliv, the question might arise, where do we position ourselves? Well, I have to say, when I think on how to position a threat intel provider like Blueliv and a pure threat intel platform provider like ThreatQuotient, an analogy comes to my mind. And maybe I could compare what Blueliv is delivering on a daily basis to your threat intel analysts with the way what a press agency like AP, DPA, and the likes are doing for your average avid newspaper reader. They provide well-researched, comprehensive news and information of the current situation in the world. And this is the basis for either a threat intel source or a daily newspaper, only for their respective worlds. And as we are already in this kind of picture, now imagine your usual Saturday newspaper. It's just thick, right? It has lots of content, lots of stories. And you have never enough time to read all of the articles, apart from maybe you are not interested in all of them, right? So wouldn't it be great to bring your favorite articles on the main page and then additionally inform you of the must-reads? So let's imagine a threat intel platform like ThreatQ is the newspaper for your average threat intel analyst, but just with a few tweaks and perks, doing exactly what the newspaper is lacking. And by the way, the GUI you're currently seeing is the landing page of ThreatQ, the threat intel platform I'd like to talk about. For a start, imagine you could put the sources you would like to read together by yourself. Oh, and this is exactly what you are seeing here on the down left corner. I put in all the strong information, the collections I can get from our colleagues from Blueliv, who make sure that the rate of false positive is reduced to a rate as low as possible, right? Thus deliver threat intel far more valuable than any other OSINT source, or not any other, any OSINT source. So Vicente, could you please elaborate on what these collections of yours are exactly doing? If we maybe start here with a crime service.
Okay. What we have here inside our feed, we have 5 different collections. Okay, we have the collection, the one that you said, which is the crime servers. So here we have information about servers that are making the malware distribution, CNCs, phishing, exploit kits, and whatever. We have any other 4 collections, 4 collections, excuse me, which are the boot IPs, where you have all the IPs that are part of a botnet. So there we have 2 different types. The one that belongs to POS are the one that doesn't belong to this. We have attacking IPs. So all a relation of all the IPs that are performing attacks like brute force, port scan, directory scan, or whatever. And finally, the last collection that we have is the one related with malware. Here we talk about malware hashes, families, forensic, and any other thing. So those are the collections that we have now inside our feed and are now integrated inside your tool.
Okay. Thank you, Vicente, for helping me out here. Yeah, you are more competent to describe this than me. So, yeah, so that was all about choosing from where I want to have my information, right? So now imagine you then could put a constant filter over the information coming in on a daily basis, allowing you to concentrate on the things you're highly interested in, according to your personal interests and preferences. And this is what we do here under data management. First, we put emphasis on actuality of the information, meaning how long do I treat the data coming in as relevant for the current situation. Under scoring, first, you see the indicators, the indicator types I care about, like the vulnerabilities here. The indicator sources we do trust the most, like the ones from Blueliv, right? And finally, the content they deliver. So for example, when you are situated in the Netherlands, right, you are naturally most interested in the information related to the Netherlands, rather than information related to South Korea, just to give an example. Or if you do hear about a certain malware family just in your country, like this one here, like Loki, you put preference on this. And the result of this tuning could be seen in the scoring window of the landing page I showed you quickly before. This one here, right? So this here gives you an idea of how quickly we are able to create a subset of information, the most relevant information for me today, based on tuning expiration and elevating the score based on preference, giving you here in this platform a result from 313,000 indicators in total to roughly 200 I scored higher. And now imagine you could store this information in a well-structured threat intel diary, or threat library as we call it. If I hit here browse all, you will see this. And this gives you the chance to put in context of time, relevance, and related information like you see here. Or if I'd like to be more specific and go back to the one indicator I do have here with a really high score, this one specifically, you can see how this information from all the various sources and bits and pieces come together in one page. You see here the high score, the reason why it is, why does it have this high score? Because of attributes, because of the sources, because of attribution. You can see here the status of the indicator in the system, that it's being watched by me. The timelining, when the indicator come in first, when it was changed, stuff like this. You do see here the various sources reporting about the indicator itself, plus the stuff they have to talk about related to the indicator. Tags you internally give this information, a meaningful description. Related adversaries like this one here, based on the information from the source or based on your own analysis. You can see here connected indicators, associated malware. And you do have obviously the option to check for more context, meaning that if you should not have sufficient information to make an informed decision, you can use these or other enrichment tools to help you doing exactly this. So, and now imagine you could immediately act on this curated information, either by sending the very subset of relevant information immediately to your connected security infrastructure like Mark talked about. Share this with your peers in communities, or elevate the quality of your daily work by putting together extracts of relevant information for you. And this is where my last point for today comes into play. Dashboards, to elevate the quality of your work. I created 2 dashboards as an example for today. So let's have a look on the first one. Here you can see a breakdown on malware information I received from collections Vicente talked about. This here will tell me really quick. For example, you can see here which families are currently active, what they are targeting, indicators I do have in my system related to the various malware families, related indicators by score, or adversaries, right, which are associated to the malware I do have. So this is the total value I can get out for me, for myself. But it is also good to know what leads to this kind of sophisticated information. So Vicente, you are using your own self-developed sandbox, right, as one of the many tools for this. So can you a little bit more elaborate how you reach this information?
Yeah, of course, Falk. Yeah, of course. It's one of the most important parts inside Blueliv because we are a technical threat intelligence company. We are, as I told before, when I was talking about my sources, we are not only taking information from the internet, from the open sources and so on, we are generating our own technologies, we are generating our own intelligence. One of the most important is our own sandbox. We analyze around 60,000 new malware samples per day, which is an enormous amount of malware samples. We do our own analysis, and based on this analysis, we provide information inside the feed. So, for example, when we talk about the families, it's because we have analyzed all the malware samples and we know the behavior of the different samples in order to make the attribution for a specific family or another. But it is based, again, on our own analysis. So the information that Falk is now showing at the ThreatQuotient platform is based on our own analysis and the feeds that we provide to this platform.
Thank you, Vicente. Great.
So I think it's very brilliant the way of you present the information here in that dashboard, okay? Because we provide information in a plain text, and having those brilliant dashboards, excuse me, it is an easy way to see our information, which is quite important. But I think that is as important as it is to show this on a comprehensive way. Okay.
Okay, thanks. And you make it especially easy for us to put in the dashboards here, the widgets. Thanks. So yeah, and I prepared a second dashboard, right? So let me quickly show you this. And this is based on the indicator I showed you before, the high scored one. So exactly this one you can see here on the indicator breakdown. And I made this because, again, it had a really high score. It was related to this specific malware. And then I thought, let me have a quick view over what I do have as a total amount of indicators related to this malware in the system. And this is what you see here. The total amount, active and inactive and expired indicators. You do see here I do have indicators with a low score. Again, this one. Then I do have information like associated techniques, and it points to defense evasion. I do have a related adversary. And by hitting this I here, you can see everything I do have in my system related to this specific adversary. I do have a documentation option here in my dashboard, providing me with information about recent campaigns and developments. Plus, I do have associated hunting rules, automatically associated to this specific malware. And this then helps me in case I should detect this malware in my premises for following up with this. So this should be all from me for today. I hope you found it interesting. And if you do have further questions, then please do not hesitate to ask.